Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to another Mechabellum gameplay review. I've got an amazing game for you guys today that I played against Bugs Bunny yesterday on stream. Absolute pandemonium on the battlefield for this one. So many twists and turns, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into it. So, I start out with Speed Specialist, Steelballs and Arc Lights. My idea is to go aggressive with this and make good use of my Speed Specialist card. And my opponent actually goes for something quite similar. Also, Steelballs starts out with Crawlers and has Quick Supply for a Specialist. This means that they can actually immediately buy Mustangs, and I believe they do. And I, on the other hand, do not have that option, so I go for some chaff, pick up 2 sets of Crawlers, and we'll go for an aggressive setup as well. Now, what is a bit dodgy in these types of situations when you have some sort of mirror matchup is, of course, you can set up on the opposite sides of the board, and then it becomes quite unclear what will happen, because it will be like, okay, who gets the tower first, and is that actually beneficial or not? Who will be able to make use of the debuff best? More importantly, whose units will get ahead earlier, because when we talk about Mustang ball setups, snowballing is really crucial for the side that wants to win. So if either of us manages to get a lot of XP on our units, the other one will likely have to abandon the whole idea of going aggressive, because they simply won't be able to keep up. That being said, both of us actually just are able to get the tower at around the same time, meaning that the first debuff won't really have an effect on either of us. And now we make our way over to the second tower. And it looks like, oh, mine are actually faster, and that is not ideal for me, because we are now closing ground before we're able to actually make any use of the tower debuff, and now my opponent's units are coming in. Seems like the debuff didn't have too much effect on us, however, and we'll just have to see how this one turns out, although my opponent does have quite a few more steel balls, it seems. Unfortunately for me, 2 of my steel balls decided to go rogue at the very start, and they died right off the bat. So yeah, my opponent here able to already farm up some good XP on the steel balls, and this is what I was afraid of. Opponent's already able to level up one of his steel balls to level 2 if he wants to. We'll have to see what I can do in this situation. Bugs Bunny immediately picks up the portable shield, and it's likely that I will do the same. None of these cards seem amazing to me. Overlords definitely could be good, but I don't think I want the improved Overlord card. It's expensive enough as is. Opponent decides to put the shield on his level 1 steel balls that he just bought, and completes another set of ball stangs. I am still kind of thinking, do I want this? Do I not want this? What's the plan? But I do believe I go for portable shield in the end. One of the reasons I'm struggling as well is because I still kind of wanted to go for my ball stang setups. And I wasn't sure whether or not I should invest the 50 here, because if I don't, I do. But let's say I don't, it means I'm able to unlock Mustangs and buy myself 2 sets of them, which maybe could have been better. But I believe that buying this is kind of crucial, because I know what my opponent will do in this situation, and I think I kind of need to match. So that is what happens. I do end up picking up 1 set of Mustangs. And I believe I also buy another set of Crawlers. Steel balls here with the shields going at it. I decided to buy a sentry on the other side, by the way, but it didn't really work out that well for me. I thought maybe it would hit some of the steel balls, but my opponent's positioning actually good enough in this situation, so I kind of wasted 50 credits there. And I would say this is not looking fantastic for me. I do manage to get the tower debuff, but once the steel balls lock on, they still will be able to take out these arc lights. And with my units now trickling in from the side, the debuff wears off, and that should spell the end of the round for me. Yep, steel balls cleaning up for my opponent. And I lose the second round as well. A lot of good items here. Yep, Bugs Bunny immediately picks up the improved firepower control system. One of the strongest items in the game for Mustangs. Really cheap as well, so amazing value for the small amount of credits that you need to invest. I also decided to pick up this because you cannot skip this when you already have Mustangs on the board. It is just too strong to forgo, and none of the other options are necessarily that amazing. Elite Hacker could have been interesting here, but it is really expensive as a card, and I'd have to invest more into the left side anyway to be able to basically create some defense in front of the hacker. So yeah, I decided to go for the more logical option, being improved firepower control system. And because I wasn't that successful here, I'm feeling like this game might start to slip away from me. Opponent already has 2 sets of leveled steel balls. I decide to start investing into other units. I really like Final Blitz Rhinos to deal with this kind of setup. So that is what I decide to go for. I grab myself 1 exploding Rhino. These steel balls have also now been leveled. But as you can see, I've actually forgotten to buy myself more crawlers there on the front. So my opponent actually very smart and uses the sentry missile to do some good damage on the steel ball shields, and also get rid of that pack of Mustangs that I had just given the new item. I do manage to grab the tower here, and it looks like finally my units are close enough to where the battle is happening that they don't want to go to the other tower. Let's see how this goes. I think the level 2 steel balls with the shields there really helped me a lot, because considering that I lost a full pack of Mustangs with improved firepower control system, they really pulled their weight. And I'm lucky here that Bugs Bunny actually did not go for the shield on level 2 steel balls. They can level now, but for the past rounds, this item has been sitting on level 1 steel balls, whereas I have had it on the level 2 steel balls. So I really do think that if this had been on other units, it would have made a difference. Now, here is where my opponent... I was talking about this in-game when I got these rhinos. There is a very easy counter to this, and it's hackers. Because they will always be able to hack the rhinos before the rhinos explode. One way to work around this is to basically buy some chaff in front, like some crawlers, and hope that the rhinos can go in and die before the hackers decide to target them. But it's always a bit risky. Now, my opponent actually already invested into parasitic ammo. It's really strong as an item, but at 400 this early on, it's a massive investment. And I actually don't have all that much chaff, at least not on this side of the board. So we'll have to see how that works out for him. I decide to go for Missile Strike and just get rid of this set of Mustangs. I thought my opponent might have shielded on this turn, so that's why I went for these guys instead of the level 2 Mustangs here on the side. I also didn't know that my opponent would pick this, because I still think it's a very expensive option this early on. The rhinos do explode, but one of them also got hacked, so I think Hacker here already doing some good work. Still one Rhino over here. Now the one thing about exploding Rhinos is even though they can get hacked, they are just as fast as the Steelballs, and they do damage against your own units. So I managed to kill the Rhino there, and it actually gets rid of the remaining Steelballs from my opponent. So still a worthwhile investment, I think. It's been working out relatively well for me. I managed to take another round and deal some decent damage to my opponent. We get several options here. Senior Manufacturing Specialist actually could be quite good. But Amp Core, when you have Mustangs, is just, yep, there they go. Really strong items, by the way, on the Mustangs. My opponent actually goes for Amp Core level 2 Steel Balls. Interesting. Also still has not leveled these Steel Balls, which I think is a mistake. The portable shield actually like doubles basically the HP. So leveling units with a portable shield is definitely more valuable. Same when you have the Amp Core. Let's see if he decides to do it. I actually go for the Amp Core on the Mustangs because it's another really powerful item. Hackers here picked up by me, by the way. The reason for this is I thought maybe, just maybe, when the Rhinos get hacked, my hackers can hack them back and we kind of get like a back and forth and they explode around this area, which is what I would prefer. I pick up some crawlers in front because I do need to build chaff now on this side if that is what I want to go for. And also I invest into more missile sentries. Same for my opponent, by the way. All three Rhinos do get hacked, but I managed to take over these ones. They explode, but with the shields, unfortunately, unable to take out and do damage to the steel balls. They are now finally leveled. Steel balls with the shields for my opponent. And my Rhinos here are starting to be a thorn in my side. I feel like I've shot myself in the foot a little bit at this stage. It's getting out of control. That is a way more convincing round for my opponent, and I am already down to way below 2,000. Not sure what I could do in this situation. Bugs Bunny decides to go for Missile Device Specialist. Enhancement Module is always good as well. Same for Haste Module. Haste Module, good item for Mustangs. He would be able to put them on these guys if he wants to. Enhancement Module can give you a monetary advantage, but I think Bugs Bunny thought he might be able to close this out in the next 1 or 2 rounds. So decides to go for the Missile Device Specialist instead. We'll actually be able to do good damage here to my units, and still, big mistake by me here. I was thinking about so many things in this game that I completely forgot and oversaw the fact that my opponent was still using the sentry missiles to deal with my ball stand combo on this side. So yeah, that's a big mistake from me. Both of us deciding to invest into a lot of sentries. The Missile Device Specialist actually enables sentries to do good damage to shields as well. So definitely not a bad choice for me. I go for some more boats now added to my arsenal. Boats, decent option against hackers as well as balls. Both are unable to look up, and the damage from the damage output from the boats is really strong. I also correctly identified that my opponent might go for a flank, so I had a sentry missile here on the side. 3 crawlers do survive and make it to the tower, but the main fight is happening over here, and my opponent actually able to just punch through anyway and get the tower debuff. Which means that my opponent's Mustangs now level 3 and level 2 already, so scary stuff. Able to take out my 2 boats relatively quickly. Other tower goes down as well now, and that is another round where I'm going to take a lot of damage. Down to 317 hit points. And I felt like this game was over. I felt like this game was done and dusted. Opponent gets Lightning Storm here as well. Often a round, if not game-ending active. I have to go for it as well. Because if I want to play to my out this game, if I want to try and make the comeback happen, I need to match this. It is such a strong active that if I let this go rampant, I will just lose. That's as simple as that. Now, I do expect my opponent to go for this. Because he should. But I do have Jump Drive as a tech upgrade on my boats. Which means that I could move them out of the way. Let's see if I decide to go for this. I can't quite remember. The game was yesterday. But I believe I do go for the Jump Drive in this instance. My opponent grabs a lone range and speed upgrade, so really banking on the fact that he might be able to close the round this very turn. I decide to put some barriers here on the hackers, and looks like... Nope, instead I go for ground cannons, also a very solid upgrade, and oil being placed down here for me. The one problem, though, with having to think about all these intricacies is I completely forget about the flank that was happening. So, tower debuff comes in right away, and here I was thinking to myself, oh no, here we go. But, this, even though this is the case, the active here actually doing more work for me, I would say, because virtually all of the Mustangs got taken out. And the only thing my opponent still has is these 3 level 2 Mustangs to try and get rid of this full health Overlord. And if he's not able to do so, it means I get an auto win. Steelballs here doing really well. My opponent, by the way, tacked into the energy absorption on his Steelballs. Level 3, but Overlord absolutely carrying the round. 170,000 damage dealt this very turn already. Now able to target the pesky hackers. And I do manage to somehow scrape in one round and survive. Both of us decide to go for Ion Blast. Bugs Bunny just needs to have one good active hit, and for me to miss, and that will be the game, right? I'm at 300 hit points, so it's very sensible by him to go for that. I decide to target the shields over here, as well as the Steelball Mustang combos, hoping that I'll be able to take out as many of his units as I can. My opponent goes for an Ion Blast over here. Now, finally, I do take this Jump Drive. I was ahead 1 round in my head. And decided to move these out of danger, expecting my opponent to go for the Ion Blast. And instead using the mobility to put them on this side of the board. Crawlers I now give Replicate to deal with this side of the board. So matching his crawlers and trying to make myself a crawler army, basically. Opponent does level his crawlers on the side, actually, so it's likely that my crawlers will still lose due to this, but hopefully I'll be able to distract for long enough that there won't be an immediate tower debuff. I also pick up another Overlord, by the way. Really happy with the amount of damage they were able to output last round, so I think it's the right way to go. More crawlers here for my opponent. Shield immediately goes down and able to get rid of those level 3 Mustangs with parasitic. At least a couple of them. There's some more on this side. Tower goes down, so still my unit's able to go through on the right side, get the debuff, and that is most units dying for my opponent. I definitely believe that the active here was more beneficial for me. But, as I said, level 2 crawlers able to win the flank against my level 1 crawlers. Another tower debuff. Every single tower is falling this game. And luckily, my unit's able to clean up the final Mustangs, who now, by the way, do have the anti-air specialization. They don't have range, however, so that is likely one of the reasons why I was able to take the round. Once the range comes out, it does become scary. Bugs Bunny decides to go for the heavy armor upgrade here. And I think I might do the same. Senior Defense Specialist could also definitely be very good, considering we have a lot of tanky units. Armor being put on these level 3 steel balls with the energy absorption, really, really tanky right now. And actually, I went for Senior Defense Specialist, so deciding to go for the all-around health buff. This turn, I see that my opponent is not defending his flanks very well. Similar to me for the past few rounds, I do have to say. But only one sentry missile to try and deal with the side. So I invest into a pack of crawlers with a pack of phoenixes behind, whom I am going to beacon into his towers, basically, to try and get a debuff and win the round here. I decide to move the overlords back to this side. In hindsight, this was a mistake. I probably should have left these on this side, because now there actually isn't that much to protect my units on this side of the board. So with all of these Mustangs now being purchased for my opponent... Oh right, I completely forgot about this. Oh boy. Okay, looks like we're kind of stable. This game was absolute like pandemonium, with so many units firing at one another that even with my graphics card, it does struggle every now and then, but it seems to be stable now. Unfortunately for me though, the tower debuff, while it did come through, wasn't quite able to do as much as I'd hoped. And the enemy Mustangs, now, he didn't even go for range, he went for increased attack, armor-piercing bullets, as well as aerial specs, so really trying to get rid of these overlords as quick as possible. And able to take out virtually all of my units. This was looking very, very dire. Super close game. Luckily, we are able to finally take out the remaining units and also take out the hackers. But that round was too close for comfort. We enter round number 10 of this game. Who would have thought that this game would go so long? I don't think either of us did when we were playing. I thought this game would end by round 6, and somehow I managed to hold on for a long, long time. Now, I decide to go for Tech Specialist, and my opponent does the same thing. I sell my Phoenixes, which was a mistake, by the way, because I am Tech Specialist, so I could have just gotten the Jump Drive upgrade for free, and that would have saved me a spot, basically, to buy another unit. Also, now deciding to go for Vulcans, I realize that the main problem I have now is these high-leveled Mustangs. So, trying to get rid of them by using the incendiaries on them. And also trying to go for the other flank My opponent, however, has enough of this. Decides to go for triple Mustangs on the back lines. I guess maybe expecting to get flanked by overlords, which is a possibility as well. But that will mean that these poor phoenixes will not see the light of day. And my flank will not be successful. I learned from the past round, and I do move my overlords slightly further back, because I didn't like how fast they died last turn. Sides is still a battle of replicate crawlers for me. My opponent didn't tech into it, so I'm actually getting quite a bit of value out of that. Fire is doing a decent job burning some of these Mustang packs. And we actually are able to take out the towers at the same timing. So, not too terrible. One Vulcan went down, but the other one is still alive. And with the fire now coming down, that is another set of Mustangs burning up real fast. And this is looking much, much better for me. Yep, able to take out the final packs of Mustangs. And with that, it means that my overlords are able to clean up together with my hero Vulcan this turn. Burning my one problem being those scary Mustangs and taking the round. What a surprise. What a surprise. And what this game shows you is that sometimes, even when things look bad, you might just be able to make the comeback happen. I do have to say I was quite fortunate on that round where I managed to turn things, because the lightning storm was very effective at taking out the Mustangs that round and giving me basically a little bit of time to get my comp running. But yeah, this was an absolutely crazy game here. The rhinos, by the way, I sold. I didn't say this in game because there was so much happening on screen, but I also started selling my rhinos because they weren't getting any value anymore. So really trying to make the pivot happen. I'm not sure the hackers did much of anything, but there were at least good distractions with the barriers. And yeah. I hope you enjoyed the game. If you did, feel free to subscribe so you stay up to date on all of my latest content. Drop a like on the video, comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.